Okay, cool. Because I can hear myself. So there's that. No, Sean, your phone wasn't tripping this time. It's me. Because y'all know I am the non techie on top of that. And I always joke about being the non techie because it goes back to if I'm not the best at something, then I don't brag about knowing how to do this or do that if I'm not the best at it. And so you guys will always hear me call myself the non techie. But then I get people who will question me later on and say, didn't you used to teach intro to microcomputers? Yeah, I actually did. I used to teach intro to microcomputers as an adjunct professor. So before we start getting into that, let me first welcome you guys to the first Talk to Tamika Tuesday of 2022. Now let's get into it. I'm Tameka Bryant. Folks like to call me Auntie Doc, call me whatever it is, but just spell my name correctly on that check is all I keep trying to tell folks. So I created the B Niche brand years back because everything that I just did and came across, I realized that the people who were making the biggest impact in whatever it was, um, it didn't matter if they were a nonprofit, if they were grass layers, if they were in real estate, whatever they were killing it in, they had a niche. And so I decided that once I moved from teaching, for those who don't know, I was an adjunct professor, and people like, oh, where'd they call themselves doc and all kind of stuff. And somebody asked me, they was like, no, I really do have a doctorate. So I don't tell people to call me Dr. Brian or anything like that. However, I will do that if there calls a time. And normally, um, sometimes people get testy in that space of education. So when I was in the space of education years and years ago, I thought I was going to be and wanted to be a professor at a university. And so I started down that path. And so I have always loved education. For those who don't know, which is why I love the classroom, which is why I love training, which is why when I'm talking to people about if they're wanting to be in this instructor space and things like that. And then I start questioning them on if you don't understand and know adult principles, then how are you running a real estate school? You doing a half-ass job at it if you didn't take the time to go research how adults learn. Okay. So as an adjunct professor years ago, I started just focusing in on being the best adjunct professor in that niche. And so over the course of years of deciding, and once I decided, hey, the university wasn't really my thing, even though I still wanted to teach, every organization that I worked within until I figured out exactly where I wanted to be, it still had a component of training and education to adults in it. Okay. So every city I went into, I kept working in that space of dealing with adults. So I've been an adjunct professor in New York, started out at Mercy College. And I was in my 20s, early 20s, when the dean of the department asked me to be an adjunct professor. Then, when I moved to Atlanta, I was an adjunct professor there. And at that location in Atlanta is where I started teaching adults how to work computers, intro to microcomputers. So that's where that came from of like, I'm the non-techie. It's not that I don't understand technology or appreciate it. It's just that as it kept going, I knew I wasn't going to focus on it and I'm not going to be the best at it. Okay. And then, of course, when I moved to Kansas City, I became an adjunct professor there at a local college there as well. And and then, of course, moving into, and that was all during the time I was in the nonprofit sector. When I went into the real estate sector full time, I became a national instructor for the National Association of Realtors. So I always stayed in the education area. And so when folks wonder, it's like, oh, okay, what is she doing? What is her niche and things like that? It was all developed and B Niche was born because I understand that when you dig deep into a company and you really go deep, it's about the consumer, understanding the company. You can't and you shouldn't, well, it's not that you can't, most people do. You shouldn't build an organization or your company without understanding who it is you're servicing. Because normally when you do that, you miss the boat. So you spend a lot of time creating marketing materials that are not talking to anyone. And that's how B Niche was born, because I got tired of seeing real estate professionals. That was who my original focus was. I got tired of seeing real estate professionals who are also business owners run behind a niche, or I say a false niche or a false business that was created by somebody else. So I'll use real estate in this example, because if I am going to be, and this is for anybody who's here as a business owner or whomever, if you are saying that you are planning on starting this business, hopefully in your brain you have said and you have adopted how I was raised as a kid from the Bronx. No one can beat me. I have no competition because no one can do what I do. And so I can stand or sit here with you guys here and tell you that anything I decide I'm going to do, you can't out you can't outwork me. You can't beat me. Because normally when other people are doing what they say they're going to do, let's take another real estate agent. And this is how I started in the real estate career. This person says they're a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent. There's not enough room for all of us. Somebody's got to go. It won't be me. So, in order to figure out how I was going to compete in a city that I was not from and get to that 1% of sales in a city I wasn't from, to get to be that realtor of the year in a city I wasn't from, to be the first Black MLS president in a city that I wasn't from, to be named entrepreneur of the year in a city I wasn't from, that meant I needed to narrow down my niche in business. And so when I tell folks, when you narrow down your niche and then you take it to the next level, meaning you study and then you master it, no one can be in your space. So when I tell folks, I wrote the book on niches way before people were talking about it and understanding what a niche is in real estate anyway. I've been there, done that. Now, I didn't get all the public fame and all that kind of stuff because that wasn't what I was going for. And so that's why you guys have seen, a lot of you have seen this book somewhere. This is not my first book, 99 Ways to Make Money in Real Estate. And it was just one of the books that I started having to write because I got tired of real estate agents, seeing them suffering. Do you know what it is, guys, to see another colleague suffer because they aren't aligned in the right area of the business? And you see them doing this, and you see a whole industry continuously telling people you should be a sales agent, a residential sales agent, knowing damn well that 90% of them will not be successful in that space. Do you know what that looks like? That looks like when you get on the deep end of it. So during that housing crash, while all of the real estate agents that I knew were suffering, losing properties, everything else, I was the person actually knocking on the doors of agents that I knew and telling them, sorry, you have to leave. If not, there's going to be a sheriff's eviction. I represent the bank. Now, to look at a fellow colleague who I've sat in meetings with, and then to tell them that they have to leave out of their home and they're being evicted because they are in, when you go back to the stem of it, because they were in the wrong side of the real estate business, because no one sat them down and told them, hey, there are 99 different ways of how you can be in real estate, and some of them don't require you to have a real estate license. So that's why Biditch came about. And I just kept pushing and pushing and saying, hey, there are other ways that people can make money in real estate, but you got to narrow down a niche. Because when you narrow down a niche, the money finds you, the bag chases you. If every time you get up, you got to worry about how you're going to go make this happen or this business or this, and you got 10,000 agents in your market, then you have to have a niche. It can't look the same as other people, or you guys are sharing in the same pot. And so, technically, every day that I get up and do something, I'm making my own pie. Okay, so I don't have to fear that if I show this person how to do this or how to do that, that it's competition, because none of them do what I do. I don't list houses. I don't get up and go help agents buy, clients go buy a house. I don't open doors and show property. That's not what I do. But yet, how do I still close 30? How can I still close 30 properties in 6 months? Because I understand my market and I understand my niche. Okay. And so when you understand your niche, you can dominate the space. So when I tell you I wrote the book on it, then I came back, and some of you probably have seen this book, which was 114 ways, because there's the number of ways keeps going. And so I partner with some of the folks that are on the team and within the real estate office. And I was like, hey, let's talk more about your niches inside of the book, not just mine, because the original 99 that I wrote about are still in there. And most of those 99 niches I had to do, not just talk about. I didn't go just do the research and go, oh, okay, this is a good idea. No, I did them. I personally did them. I was personally a REO broker for 10 years, a master listing broker, mind you, the only African American broker in the state of Missouri for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae back then. Okay, I've done those. I've gotten those state contracts to do leasing and everything else. I've gotten those city contracts. I still have city contracts to do real estate. So I am a developer. I've taught. So a lot of those things that are in here, it's not because I just, said, well, let me go see what it is. No, I had to learn to be a commercial lender, okay, in order to figure out where it was that I was going to fit in. And so next week, we will be talking about reinventing yourself, because what's happening to a lot of you guys right now is you're having to reinvent yourself as you figure this journey out. What is going to be your niche? How are you going to dominate the space? How are you going to have the bag come chase you? A lot of the reasons, the guys, that I am normally asking for a clone or trying to build out a real estate support team is so that I can get after additional business that's sitting here and waiting on me. Okay? It's waiting. The bag is chasing me. And now what's happening is that the bag is chasing me so much so I can't get to everybody and everything. So I got to bring on more people. So this week, for example, we start Compass today. We start Compass. Compass, for those who don't know, that's the mentoring program where people are like, I want to be mentored. And for those who know me, y'all will know. If people say, oh, can you mentor me? No, can't do it. I only have enough time to mentor the agents that are within my brokerage, because I still maintain a brokerage where I am the broker owner of that particular office. And of course, we have several other offices, but I'm not the, managing broker for those, but I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. So if I'm not mentoring, I have to be mentoring those agents in my office. If I'm not mentoring in that space, then I'm normally mentoring new investors. Those new investors, you've got to come into a space where I can get to you, because 95% of the investors who come through Compass leave with a property. That's why I'm there. I'm not there for half-ass results. I'm there because you need an accountability partner. That starts this week. And then my one-on-ones have already started, and that goes full throttle this week as well. So when you have people who are waiting on you to work with them, because again, remember guys, for those who don't know, I'm creating 7-figure entrepreneurs, helping them move out of 6 figures and right into 7 figures. Some of you have witnessed this right in the group. So, do I use my time to answer the phones, to fill out contracts, to do this? Or do I use my time to develop international properties? Do I use my time to work one on one with the people who really have the desire to be in high six, not let's say 6 figures, but understand I'm not talking about 100,000. High 6 figures and 7 figure operations is what I want to see them do, because we all know 6 figures you can get to. If you can make 10,000, you can get to 100,000. It's normally those folks that after they get to that 100,000, it's like, okay, how do I get to that next level? How do I put those processes and procedures in place? And then on top of that, how do I make sure my investments are paying me so that I can walk away from anybody's 9 to 5? Like, it's not a feather in the cap if you're an entrepreneur, like you say you are, that you still have to go and punch a clock. That's not a feather in the cap for anybody. Not a feather. Because whatever it is that you guys are doing, and if you think you are the baddest at what you're doing, you should be in a space that you're able to teach other people so you can level them up while leveling yourself up and while leveling your company up. Because the end game, guys, is how you are going to manage this business so that it can run without you. If every day you have to get up in order for your company to go, then you don't have a business, not a real one. Not like your businesses should be designed where they are operating without you, because if not, you have acquired a job. You got a sophisticated job and you're the owner and you're things. But if something happens to you, then what happens to your income? And how does your family still eat if something happens to the one person who has to get up to push the buttons? You think if Jeff Bezos decided to lay down today or take a month off, that Amazon would stop? That would be a no. Because all of you guys would still be pressing buttons to get deliveries to your door. So I'm going to sit there and let that marinate for a second. Yes, I have my fan out. If that's what it's on the back of this green screen. So, yes, you have to blueprint yourself. So, yes, y'all will see the fans come out all year long because we're getting ready for all the good stuff that we got planned. So, I'm going to stop right there and let y'all digest some of that, because we've got to get to the part where some of us have to look in the mirror and say, how do I reinvent myself so I don't show up looking like the next person, looking like the next company? So what? You got a different logo. So what? You have a this or that. Where's your value proposition that you're so dope, you're so different? I tell people all the time, and a lot of folks don't want to hear it. I'm not out recruiting anybody. For what? If my attraction doesn't get the people who need to walk through the door, then I know I'm doing something wrong for the business that I do. It's not necessary for me to go out and recruit. The right people show up and want to join the team. There's a difference there. That's what makes me different. And that's what makes my business model work. Okay? So, what's your value proposition? Maybe you want to show up and spend time doing all of those things. Maybe you don't. So, you figuring out your own value proposition is so key. You taking your business to the next level is so key. Okay. Here is when I always look at some of the things I had to do when I was in the space of any company, um, take it real estate, take insurance, whatever it was, how was I going to dominate that space? And I have to ask people all the time, if you started off the new year and you are whatever business you are, and you have not figured out that you have study time, you have time that you should be answering phones, especially if you're a single individual person. There's times you should be doing lead generation. There's times that you should be doing all of these things. And then there's times that you should be writing down all of these processes so that somebody else can do those smaller items. Because, guys, many of you do not know what your hourly rate is. And so, for a lot of the people who I'm not talking to, folks who coach with me, because everybody who's coached with me know their hourly rate, because we can't even move past that without having that hourly rate in there. Because let's say my hourly rate is $500 an hour, which it is for one of the businesses I do, which is the consulting. Then should I be the person who is putting a stamp on an envelope? No, because I can get someone else at $10 an hour to do that. Should I be the person who is going grocery shopping if that's something that I don't like to do? No, because I can have Instacart go do that, or hire a personal assistant at a much lower rate than my $500 an hour. And a lot of business owners, let alone do they know all of the things that they need to have in place, do they even start there? And so you've got, guys, as entrepreneurs, all of these things moving and shaking, and all at the same time, while you still got to pay the light bill and the mortgage bill or rent. And so trust me that I understand about building a business from the ground up, because I've been doing that since I was a kid. The thing that I have added to all of that is, in addition to running a business since I was a child, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. What I added to that most people did not add to that, I went to the School of Hard Knocks. So I've run all kind of businesses and hustles while I was in New York, and people always think hustle as a bad thing. No, hustle in New York just means you get up and you grind. Okay? And I also put on my student hat and took my ass to college and went to every course, including business law. My degree is in business, guys. So that means I went to at least 4, 8, that was 12 academic years of business. My associates is in business, my bachelor's, my master's, and my doctorate is in business. So do you know how many marketing classes I went to? Do you know how many business law classes, calculus, that all of those pieces that, guess what, people will get up and go, I'm gonna go get a license and a business card, and then I'm gonna sit side by side, and we're gonna, you would never be my competition, because I've done my studying and I continue to do my studying. Plus, the other thing I have over most people, and yes, I can say this, and this is where I want all of you guys to be. You got to get cocky with your stuff, because you got to show up and know that you're better than the next person, better than the next company, and why that company should pay you. Because while some people are running after 3% on a commission over here or this over here, I show up and can consistently get 10, 15, 20% on the same thing that they're over here doing, because they're not studying. Okay, so if there's a company that wants to write a check for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to do some work, why aren't they knocking on your door and knocking on mine? Because I've done my studying, I've done my homework. So a lot of you guys have to go and dig deeper, reinvent yourselves, and come up with some better habits of looking at this business a lot differently. And some people are just looking at their circle and saying, hey, I'm doing better than this person, so I'm good. No, you're not. Because if your business can't operate without you, you got work to do. If your net worth ain't where it needs to be, you got work to do. If you made 100,000 and then you spent 100,000, you got work to do. That's not wealth. That's not how you build wealth. So I'm gonna tell you guys some of the things that some of you guys should be doing. And I know I'm coming up on my time, but in your own space. And here's some of the things I'll put it out there. I know I have a lot of real estate agents in the group, so I like to bring it back to them. But in the space, when I knew I needed to get to the top of the industry, because even as today, I don't have anybody that I've run across on my team, in my market, any of those things, who have beat my closing record. And so some of those things I had to do, this is before Facebook. So can you imagine having to market and do all of these things and to have enough business coming through the door so that you could close more than the average agent in the market you weren't from? Oh, yeah, you had to be on your game. But again, those folks weren't going to outwork me. Folks today aren't going to outwork me because they're not strategic in what they do. So I'm going to give you a couple of them. Okay. One of the first things I needed to do is I got on a committee at the associations that I'm paying dues to, an association, local, state, and national. I got on a committee at each one of those groups. Strategically, I needed my niche to show up at every level of this business, and I needed to gain a network at every level so that those people that I was around on these committees could send me back that business. Okay, so my niche in the business, I'm on those committees strategically so that I can get that business back from the people who were on those committees. So that's why I never have a problem paying dues, even though I make jokes about them. I never have a problem paying dues to any of the associations because I get all of that money right back just on referrals. Okay, so creating strategies to get referral business back to you takes time. You got to figure some of that out. What's the best committee to be on? Because that's also your volunteer time, unless you do like I do and you get paid to be on boards and things like that. But that's again another piece to it. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. Then I make sure that you have. I was creating a network that I was controlling, so I'm gonna create a real estate investment group that it's on me to get the people to me, so that I'm hosting that monthly investment group. Those people who show up to that monthly investment group are going to bring leads. So that was another way of making sure my name was constantly out there, constantly getting that business coming back to me. Another thing is I ask people all the time, how are you going to show up? How do you show up online? If the business that you are looking for is over here, then why are you on Facebook? Why are you on Facebook? I would also make sure I was on committees and groups that were outside of my industry, outside of real estate. So I would get on committees or boards for like the National Association of Women Business Owners and meet other execs so that I could have other people in order to bounce things off or learn from. Because again, I'm new to a market. You don't know everything, right? So if you don't know everything, and once you get in your mind that you don't know everything, even though you might be the baddest thing out there working or going in your network, you still have to level yourself up daily on your education and some of the other things that you've got to do. Okay, so please understand there are levels to all of this. And today, I have to stop because, like I told you guys, we go 100% into all coaching, all training this week. And I have another meeting right after this, and I'm a little late, but I need to check and see what other questions we got out here because I don't want to leave you guys with that. But understand that take those 3 nuggets, and you guys already know that time blocking saves my life all the time. And I would tell folks as the year goes on and I bring on new people and all of those kind of things, I told somebody the other day, they keep inboxing Carmine about the same thing. And it's like, I will do certain tasks one time a week. If you miss the deadline to get me the information for getting that task done, it doesn't happen until a week later. That's just how I am. I have to time block everything to make sure everything works. So add that time blocking into those things because, guys, as you have to come back and some of you have to reinvent yourselves because what you were doing last year isn't working, then you need more time. And it's the same 24 hours that's given to everybody. So everything can't get done at the same time. Some things you're going to have to give up. One of the things I had to give up, I can't personally clean 4,000 square feet of a house. Got to get a maid service. Had to give that up because I still want to do my cooking. And so at certain times, I have to give that up. You got to have the chef do certain things. You can't do everything. And so one of the last ones I want for folks to put in their things, because of course with all this social media and things like that, one more thing I want to add as you guys are building out what it is that you are planning on focusing on. Spend the time to sit down and see if the niche that you have locked yourself in is the one you actually want to do. If it doesn't get you out of the bed in the morning, if you open your eyes and don't say, thank you, God, this is the life I wanted. This is the passion in me once, wakes me up. I don't need an alarm clock. Then it's not your niche. It's somebody else's and that you're just trying to make work. Okay. It has to come from within for it to, you want to love it, guys. You really, really want to love it. And if you don't, then I want you guys to check that out and really pay attention to what that needs to manifest into. And so a lot of times people will get with me and find out what they were doing is not really what they love. And that's okay. We just work to do something else because I'm championing for you because I want 6 and 7 figure people all around me at all times. I want to partner with the 6 and 7 the 6 and 7 figure income earners. Those are who I like to partner with. I want to be a part of your businesses. So I'm rooting for you guys to figure it out because when you figure it out, then I'm there like, you need a partner? Do we need to go get you some funds? But that's only when you figure it out. If you don't figure it out, that's probably why I haven't come knocking on your door and saying, hey, I got some opportunities for you because I get opportunities at my door so often that I now have to get a staff here in the next 7 days, figured out, finished, so we can move on because the opportunities are robust. I don't know about anybody else, but COVID didn't slow down anything in business. Look around and see where your folks are making money. The billionaires made more billions. The multimillionaires, we made more millions. So that money is out there waiting on you, but it's waiting at a higher number. I'm not talking about killing yourself out there to, running over here and wearing your body out and running over here and doing that. I'm talking about really being strategic and taking what you do to the next level. So guys, I've got to go. I don't even have time to do a whole bunch of talking to you guys. And I hate that. Because y'all know some days I get on here and I'm ready to go. And other days I have a little more time and things like that. But I have to run. I've got to get ready for Compass. They're right after this. And so guys, I will talk to you guys later. Keep pushing, keep finding those niches, keep manifesting the lifestyles that you want. Remember guys, I'm a kid from the Bronx that did not, no one taught me real estate. No one taught me anything. There was no Facebook, no YouTube, none of that. And so I know if I can do it, you guys can do it at a much better and a higher level than what we were able to do it over here. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. See you at the top or from the top. Talk to you later. Bye bye.